All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the client interview. In other words, kind of the initial interview that you're going to do with your client when you're setting up a design program with them. So this is kind of what we're going to be looking at, the different objectives for the next few minutes. Some of this is going to be uh, personal preference, I guess is the way to say it. You know, whether you charge your fees up front or whether you get them afterwards, things like that. I highly recommend, if at all possible, you screen your clients. You're not going to want to work with every person that's out there. Not every company is appropriate for every individual. Um, Depending upon your area of specialization, you might simply tell clients, hey, that's not something my company does. Let me suggest to you my friend's company because they do that. It's really hard to do that when you're first starting out, and you'll probably will do it more and more as your company gets bigger and bigger, because what you don't want is to be a very large company and have people going, well, I could get that for $5 less if I go down the road. Well, fine, go down the road then. This is what it costs. So I highly recommend you learn how to screen your clients when and where you can. Because what's going on here? How, if you live in a suburb like this, do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? The landscape is one of those ways that you can start to separate all of these houses which look so similar. Do your initial consultation at the design site, probably the residential property, or if you're doing commercial stuff, the commercial site, the apartment building, or whatever it is. Try as much as possible to get all the people involved in the design to be involved. If it's a spouse, pair, do that. If it's roommates, if it's more than one person at the company making decisions, even if they can only pop in for a few minutes, try to meet them all. Usually you want to go for about an hour. You don't really want to go more than that, because what you'll find is people will start asking you questions for information, and now they're getting basically free information. Lots of companies do. You get an hour for free, and then if you hire us, then you're not out a whole lot if they don't hire you, but you're also working with them for enough time that they can start to see what you know, and you can start to see if that client is going to be good for you. If all you're doing is consultations, you're going to want to charge a consultation fee. But most companies, especially design build companies, are going to go out, meet with a client, talk with them for a little bit, and then do the work afterwards. This is pretty obvious. Professional in the landscape industry is not full business attire. This is simply a clean shirt, clean pants. Could be uniform shirt and uniform pants. This is where I might recommend you throw a different shirt into the truck, because while if you're out working and your knees are dirty, that's fine. But if you've got another shirt and you're heading to a new client where you're trying to drum up their business, just throw a clean shirt on. Makes you look a little bit more professional. On time is early, so be there early, even if it's only a couple of minutes early. Even if you see that they're not home yet, when they get there, they will see that you're already there. Kind of a list of things that you might consider bringing. I highly recommend you get a clipboard that allows you to store papers, contracts, business cards, etc., inside the clipboard. If you have any brochures or portfolios, if you have a tablet or something like that, you can throw a little PowerPoint together. If you don't have internet access or you don't want to use your phone as a hotspot, you can show some pictures of things that you've done, work that you've done. You definitely want to bring a measuring wheel or a tape, because if they hire you right then and there, you might determine if you have the time to go ahead and do some of the site analysis. You might have contracts with you. Definitely bring a camera. Now, most phones nowadays have the camera on them. Same thing with a compass. You no longer have to bring a separate compass. Download a compass app on your phone and utilize that, because occasionally you get a client that goes, I have no idea which way is north. Then you can just pull out your phone and figure out which way is north. You need them to trust you. You need to be able to trust them. You need to know that if they make a commitment, that they're going to stick to that commitment. You probably want to get them ultimately to sign a contract, even a very simple contract that covers your butt in case something happens or something goes wrong. Bring a form that's a standard site survey form, if at all possible. And if you're not going to do that on the initial consult because you don't want to spend any extra time because you don't know if they're going to sign a contract, then have some available in the truck so that when you come back later on, you've already got that piece of paper with you. So you've always got contracts, business cards, and your site survey sheets with you. Follow up with a call. If they don't set a next meeting right then and there, call them in a couple of days. Remind them what you talked about. Offer them a couple of basic ideas on the phone and tell them what you can do for them. Do this in as quiet a place as possible. You want as few distractions as possible. Yes, I get it. If you're in a client's home, they may have kids or cats or dogs or anything like that. The phone might ring. Who knows what's going to happen? But if at all possible, you want as few distractions because you want them concentrating on why they brought you there. You are the professional that they hired to do something they can't or don't want to do on their own. You also want to find out what they want and what they like. And they may not know what they like. They might say, yeah, I want a fire pit, or I want an area for entertaining. But they don't know what their design personality is. You may not at first know what your design philosophy is. But start going through pictures with them. Find out what it is that they like, what they don't like, why they don't like something. Because it's ultimately not what you like. It's what they like. Walk around the property. Don't do the whole thing in the kitchen or at the dining room table. Walk around the entire property if at all possible. And discuss with them costs. And it doesn't have to be I'm giving you a full estimate. It might be that you are showing them examples of things that this is what costs $5,000. This is what you can get for $5,000. This is what you can get for $50,000. You're going to know when you walk onto the site if they are asking you for a $10,000 job or a $100,000 job. This is what I call a designer's personality test. I just kind of show people some pictures and ask them, first glance, what do you like? So same thing, do this. Think about which one of these do you like, and then just off the cuff, really fast. Which one do you like? Do you like the right one? Okay. Why? Now you can slow down and think about why. I like the statue better. Maybe I like the colors better. So there could be a number of reasons that a person might like it. So the next couple of slides, think about that. What about these pictures? Do you like one more than the other? If you like the left, maybe they like things a little bit more ordered. If they like the right, maybe they like things a little bit more artsy. There's no right or wrong here. You're just trying to determine what the client likes so that you know what direction to take their design. These again are just pictures, just off the top of your head. Don't spend any time staring a long time at them. Just go, oh, I like that one better. And then look at them more closely and see why. And if you can show pictures like this to your client, you can start to ask them questions. Why? What is it about that you like? Is it the lighting? Is it the colors? Is it the shapes? Is it where the plants are? You don't necessarily have to use these pictures. You can use all kinds of different things. Do they want a vast expanse? Do they want their yard to look larger? Do they want their yard to look smaller, more intimate? Do they want little pockets of spaces where they can spend time? Do they need a large area for the kids to play? So these are all types of questions that you're definitely going to want to answer them. And you will develop over time a series of questions that you might even send to them early. So when they say, hey, I want you to come out for that initial client interview, the first thing you do is mail them this series of questions and get them to answer them, or at least think about them, so that when you go to talk to them, they have some idea of A, what you're capable of, and B, what they want. Find out their budget. They're always going to hedge their budget on the low side, so provide examples. Again, give them some pictures of designs or areas, and you can say, hey, we did this particular garden or backyard and it was $5,000. Oh, these people wanted this patio with this pergola and this fire pit and this landscape and these retaining walls, and we had to deal with this, and we built these stairs, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and it was $175,000. So you want to be able to gauge what they want. This is not HGTV, where these people are like, yeah, I'm a crayon sharpener and I sell perfumes that I make from my garden and my budget is $3 million. It's not that. Find out what their real budget is. There are clients out there perfectly capable of paying $1 million for a project. There are also clients out there who don't want to spend $5,000 on a project. So you need to know what they're actually willing to spend, because you don't want them to have sticker shock. This is going to be one of those times where it's entirely personal preference and company preference. Some people will charge by the hour, and that can vary. You might, and I'm not recommending going as low as $20 at this point. but you might be charging $50 or $60 an hour. You're the expert here. As you get further and further along, you might be charging $350, $400, $500 an hour, but you're probably not going to be spending 10 hours doing a design if you're charging $500 an hour. But it also might depend on, are they hiring you to do the install, or are they just paying you for the design? So if they're hiring you, if you're a design build company, maybe you tell them that they pay you, let's say, $1,000 for the design. That way your time is covered no matter what, and you'll back that cost off of the install if they hire you. So essentially they're getting a free design, but if they choose not to hire you, or if something goes wrong, you've at least recovered the cost for your time. This is probably a rough estimate of how much it takes. The better you get, the less time it's going to take, and the closer you're going to get into that 5-hour range rather than the 10-hour range. We talked about presentation graphics last time, and that's not going to be for every single client. So it may be that 1 or 2 hours is everything, but it might take you an hour just to do the measurements. It might take you an hour just to do your preliminary design, and maybe it's a simple enough design that that's all you need. But if you have to do full-blown presentation graphics, it might take you in that 5 to 10 hour range. So you need to be paid for that time, because if you're doing 15 designs a week or more, you don't want to be doing all that for free, because you're not making anything at that point. I highly recommend you have a contract. There are lots of places online where you can get very simple legal contracts. You can hire an attorney for a very brief period of time to get them to look over something that you've written, but that covers your butt. We don't normally do gentlemen's agreements anymore, where you're just basically shaking hands and you say, yep, I'll pay you, yep, I'll do the work, because if something goes wrong, neither party has the way to prove what was said and when was said and how it was said. So you can have everything from a very simple contract to a very lengthy proposal for every single project. And it might depend on the project. A larger project might have a formal proposal. Simple foundation plantings. I just need this garden planted. Hey, can you build a raised bed for some vegetables in the back? That might have a very simple contract. How you get paid? Again, this is personal preference. If you are a small company, you might not have the cash on hand to purchase all the supplies you need for every job. So then I would recommend you get some amount of money up front. And my recommendation for that money is the money that's going to cover the costs of any materials. Because if you buy all the materials and then something happens and the client can't or won't pay you, or you guys have to dissolve the contract, you at least have covered the cost of those materials. How you do that? You want 20% at signing, 60% at preliminary, 20% at master. If you're going through the whole presentation graphics thing, 1/3 at signing, half at signing, half before we start the work, the other half when we're done the work, 1/4 of it up front, half of it halfway through the work, the rest of it as it's done. You can work out different budgets that are convenient, A, for your client, and B, for your business. And that may change as your business grows. I definitely recommend you set up for the next appointment, especially after you've got that preliminary contact. Set up the next appointment if at all possible. And that may be a week from now. Hey, I can have this designed to you by next Friday. Okay, good. What time are you available to meet on Friday? Well, I can't meet on Friday. How about the following Monday? Okay, great. My schedule is this on Monday. Let me pull that out. And then you want to make sure that you're able to get that design done on that time. And if they've got a huge project and you know you can't get it done in a week because you've got 15,000 other things that are going on, you say, all right, I can have that design for you in 2 weeks, or whatever your time frame is. Be honest about that time frame, but follow up with them. And you might consider sending them a little thank you card, or a thank you text, even if you're communicating with them via text message. Just something to say that, hey, I remember speaking to you. My company can help you out. Thanks for thinking about us. Here's my business card. Give me a call when you're ready to do the install. The whole point of all of this is you want to make sure you are following through with your client from step one, that initial contact, all the way through installation of the design. If they're only buying the design from you, then you want to make sure when you hand them a copy of that final plan, never give them the original, by the way, when you hand them a copy of that final plan, that they are ready to pay you at that point. All right, as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch.